Welcome, everybody. This is Michael Cummings, and I have been working with MSP owners for the last 4 to 5 years. And my goal with them has been to teach them how to change their sales destiny. And the easiest way to say that is I teach them all the skills they need in order and have plans in place for them to execute on these new skills so that their business becomes a new business. In the old days, before they started working with me, they had pretty typical MSP sales results. They would tend to hit a sales ceiling and have very mild growth. I would say maybe 1 or 2 to 3 to 4 new MR clients a year, depending on where they started. I would say probably 10% growth would be huge for them. Most MSPs tend to grow between 1 and 5%. So what I'm going to offer you today is I'm going to take you through the transformation process I went through with them. And I'm going to take you through the key things you have to change in your business to start getting the kind of results that you desire. And believe it or not, these are more important today than they were a year ago or 2 years ago because of the COVID impact and the economic impact, because marketing and selling and opportunity creation is more precious today than it's ever been before. So I'm going to take you through this process, and I'm offering a program for new clients to do the same things. So that's the purpose of this presentation, is take you through what has worked for them, what's the blueprint, and how can you start doing the same thing by working with me. So let me just go through the results and why you could have confidence that what I'm talking about works. So I've worked with a couple dozen of MSPs, and most of them have been working together for 4 or 5 years now. In each of those 4 or 5 years, their typical growth rates in terms of sales were 25 to 33% per year. And that was true all the way through actually this year. What that meant was people that I worked with have all doubled in size over the past 4 or 5 years, and there's steps along the way to do that. But what I find most interesting and most appealing to you guys is that they're also growing this year. So I would say through the end of June, I would probably half of them are growing 15 to 20% in revenue. They're all bringing in new MRR clients. I was just talking to 2 of my clients last week, and each of them brought in 2 new clients this past week. So there is opportunity out there because they know how to make marketing and sales and relationship management work. They know what to do during the tough times. And my first message to everybody on the phone is, or on the webinar here, is that now is the time to invest and take action. If you kind of shelter your business in place, if you retreat, if you start cutting marketing and sales effort, you're going to retract your business. There's really no way that you're going to grow if you don't start to be much more proactive, make some decisions, make some events, take some actions, make some investments. So my takeaway for what I want you guys to get out of this is at least listen to this with an open mind and say, what would my business look like if I did take some of the actions that we're going through in this session today? Let me tell you how this works. And this sounds simple, but it was a revelation for both me and my clients. There are very few metrics in your business from a sales and business development standpoint that actually matter. And I'll go through those today. If you want to drive new MRR, the key metric is how many qualified first-time appointments, or we tend to call them qualified discovery meetings. How many of those do you generate in a typical week? And your goal is really to get 2 of those a week, or at least 1 of those a week, because the closing ratio on discovery meetings is about 25 to 33%. So what that says is if you have 8 discovery meetings in a month, you're very likely to have 2 new MRR clients a month. And for many of my clients, that's about all they can onboard in a particular month. So the question really becomes, how do you start to drive these 2 discovery meetings per week? And what changes do you have to make in your prospecting approach to have that be a routine event that you get these 2 discovery meetings per week? On the client side, what we found is similarly, you need to have 2 business reviews a week. And that's got to be blended with targeted client outreach beyond the business reviews. And mostly that's around just staying in touch with their clients, knowing what's going on in their business, but having a roadmap laid out so that you know what investments they need to make now and to have a really solid business case. Let me just pause there for a second. The thing I found with my clients now during the COVID in the current economic times, is I wouldn't rely on the old client selling process that we had that worked a year ago. If anything, you really have to have, really got to look through your opportunities with your clients and say which ones of these are really essential investments for them. Which ones do they have to make in order to get the business results they want? And you have to have much stronger business cases these days than we might have needed last year, for example. And we'll talk about this other point here, which is your real goal is to become an essential business advisor to your clients. I know that sounds like a cliche, but what that really means is that the quality of your business relationships are always improving. So that if you have something which is kind of a C client relationship, which might be a small client, somebody that you don't stay in touch with as often. For those that have some upside potential, you want to set a goal for moving, your C clients to a B client, your B clients to an A client, and your A clients to an A plus clients. And once you get them at that higher level, do the things you need to do to keep that relationship intact. We'll talk about that towards the end of this presentation. So if you think about metrics that matter for your business, sales is kind of a lagging indicator. It's what you want to do is to say what are the leading indicators that you have to hit in terms of meetings, in terms of value that you offer, in terms of opportunities that you need to create. It's all those kind of leading indicators that create the results. Sales again is the result of these kinds of metrics and these kinds of actions. So we start the whole process with building a sales business model for you that delivers these kinds of metrics, that actually creates these kind of results. And I teach you both the actions you need to take and the skills that you need to have and the leadership and the management systems, all the things you need to have in place to create these kinds of activity metrics for your business. So I'm going to go through 4 steps now that are really the key to transforming your sales results. And the first one sounds very simple, but what I believe is the most important part of this is actually focusing much more on your ideal clients and then putting the full force of your business development, putting all of your effort into attracting a very selective and intentional group of prospective clients that you want to attract. And the easiest way to think about it for me is I talk about looking at the current clients you already have and saying which one of those are kind of A's, which one of those are ideal clients, and then how do I go out and get a few more of those, right? So if you think about, for example, if you do a lot of work with law firms, right, and you say I want to get somebody that's has about 20 attorneys, they maybe have 2 offices, they're willing to make investments in technology. So I like those types of clients. So I'm going to put them at the top of my list of the type of clients I want to go after. And I'm going to put the full force of everything I do in terms of business development to get those specific clients. When I say those specific clients, what I really want you to do is you see the people off to the right there. I want you to know who those people are. I want you to have them identified, connected to them on LinkedIn, know more about their business than you know about your typical prospective client. So there's consequences once you've made that selection that you really want to go after those clients specifically and then tune everything you do in business development towards those clients, right? So let's take an example. If you're going after law firms, a lot of our guys go after law firms. So there's the Association of Legal Administrators, tends to be a great association. So you would want to be targeting people that you know in that association. You would want to take your existing clients and ask for introductions to the types of clients that you want to attract. So once you get specific, you can take much more forceful, targeted, individualized actions that tend to produce much better results. And this is the first step we do. If you did work with me, this is kind of the onboarding program that I put together for people that end up working with me. This is really the first step, is who do you want to attract? Who do you have currently in place that are clients just like them? And then given that, what is the stream of activities or the stream of business development approaches that you want to use in order to get those people as clients? That's step 1. Step 2 is to make sure that we are marketing into those clients' pain, right? Or prospecting into their pain. And what this slide shows is that if you talk to owners of companies or C-level executives and you say, you know, how is technology important to you in your business, right? They will talk about things that are above the line in this chart. Because they will start to talk about, well, I have to make my people more productive. I want to make sure that they have the tools and technologies so they can do their job better. I'm then also interested in critical business processes, like for example, in medical practice, it's their whole EMR and their scheduling process and their client throughput. What are the critical business processes for, you know, a manufacturing company could be ERP, for a law firm would be document management, right? You'd want to start talking through what business processes are most important for that company to succeed. And then how does technology either help or hinder them today in the achievement of the business process results that they want? So you want to care about business processes, and the most technical a C-level executive and owner gets is around applications or line of business applications, particularly. And actually, funny, one of the critical business applications these days is actually email. And what's becoming even more critical, frankly, is Office 365. So when they start to think about applications and technology, those are the things they care about, and it's those are the things that creates business results, and that's why they care about that. The mistake that most MSPs make is that we're really interested in the stuff that's in the bottom here, right? Which is the hardware they have in place, the network and its performance, its protection, its security, the middleware that we need to have in place in order to protect the business and to make the network perform. So we're very focused on things in the bottom, and that tends to creep into the way that we talk about a value proposition to a CEO or a C-level executive, or even to our clients, frankly. So we talk a lot about things in the bottom, and the transformation we have to make is all of our marketing, all of our prospecting, all of our QBRs, all of our client management discussions really have to relate the bottom three elements to the top three elements. And you got to get trained how to do that. It's not a natural tendency for most MSPs. So you'll find, and what I've observed in most MSPs is they're very focused, and most of their marketing and prospecting and all that stuff is still very kind of below the line oriented, and it's very technology driven. So another transformation we make with the people who work with me is we say, you know, once we've decided the clients that we want, let's take their business perspective and say, what value do we bring to that perspective, right? What value do we bring to the kind of top level things that they care about? And that should be infused into everything we do in terms of business development, from our prospecting approach to our emails, to our websites, to our search strategies. Everything really has to be up above the line oriented. Earlier, I talked about the fact that we're trying to get at least 4 qualified first-time appointments per month or discovery meetings, or preferably 8 of those, right? And how do you get them? Gets to be the real question, right? So if you actually do the math, I think if you did 8 a month, that's something like 96 meetings you're trying to create in a year, right? That would be a great year for most MSPs if they got 96 qualified new business development appointments. Well, what I found is that this is what I'm going to call the 6 pillars of lead generation. These are all the different ways you can I call them prospecting channels, all the different ways that you can create those meetings. And what I find with many MSPs, particularly those that are not producing a lot of results, is that they kind of focus on the first box here, which we'll talk about, and the 6th box there, the one on the far left and the one on the far right, is that they believe that if you do a whole bunch of stuff on a volume basis, and in many cases you do it not aimed specifically at those focus clients we talked about, but in the general marketplace, that if you do a lot of cold calling, if you send out a lot of emails, if you do a lot of blasts, or what do they call it, nurturing, lead nurturing, if you do kind of a lot of volume, that volume is somehow going to turn into clients. And that's only partially true. Frankly, every person I work with, even those that have inside salespeople that make a lot of calls, they only get about 12 to 15% of their new business from that. It's all these other things that actually create the results. I go in the far right too. A lot of people do a lot of marketing, but they actually don't do it the right way. And over time, we've developed a process by which marketing should start to deliver one client a month for you. So it's a long discussion about how you make that happen. But what I found is that the general types of marketing that people do and the general kind of SEO optimization and doing webinars and sending out newsletters and all that is not sufficient to produce that results. There's a whole different kind of marketing angle that you have to take to produce those results. What we have found is those 4 boxes in the middle, actually the ones that we really have to put in place for people. So what surgical prospecting says is, if we went back to that first slide and we talked about those target ideal clients, the ones that were their clones of our best existing clients, what we're looking for there is a continual prospecting of that short list of people all the time, and done on a very personalized, streamlined basis. And so the surgical prospecting should produce, more, honestly, than your volume prospecting. The middle box is association. What that says is, if you're involved in associations, like a business association, for example, a lot of our guys are in EO, or they're in a business association, or they're in charitable organizations, or they're even in chambers. The whole point of being involved in an association is not to network. That's the way most people think about it. The whole point of the association is to turn that involvement into discovery meetings. And there's very specific ways that you need to work it in order to do that. The 4th box over is another one that most people don't really have in place. They may have these referral programs, or they may put on their bottom of their emails, we appreciate referrals from our clients, right? But what you really need is a pretty disciplined, focused, and continual process by which you basically talk to people that you already know, whether they're existing clients or good business contacts, or if they're individuals that you know somebody that you want to know. I know that's a lot of no's in one sentence. But the basic idea there is, you take a list of your clients, or your prospective clients, that you're trying to attract. And what you're trying to do is to find all the people that you know that can introduce you to the people that you want to have as clients. And there's a way to do that. There's a routine to do that. There's some skills you need to have to do that. But that should be something that you're doing each and every week, right? That you're asking some of your good contacts to put you in touch with, or better off, to introduce you to people that you want to have as prospective clients, that are prospective clients, right? So that's the 4th box. The 5th box is another one that most people don't do, which is co-marketing with professional allies. And what that says is finding people that you know who have their own client base that contains a lot of the ideal clients that you want to attract, and then figuring out how you can do the same thing for them. So how you could introduce your clients to them, and figure out how you can actually trade leads back and forth. You also can do a lot of co-marketing together. You can actually go out and do things to attract new clients for your both, but there should be a strategy that you have, or a set of activities you have, where you're finding allies that can help you go out and get clients together. That's a big game changer for most people. But the whole point of the pillars is, you need to be doing all these pillars all the time. And if you get good at that, then that's what's going to create the steady stream of first-time appointments. Again, if you get 1 or 2 per week, you're going to get 1 or 2 clients per month. The other thing is, you found the ones that are in the middle, like surgical prospecting, association, referral generation, etc. Like, those have different kinds of closing dynamics too. So what you'll find is, if you get an introduction to somebody and you have a discovery meeting, your closing ratio on those meetings are much better than ones that you get either in cold volume prospecting or cold marketing. So all of those things add up in terms of creating the type of business model, I guess I would call it a business model, that produces these results all the time. So again, if you do all 6 of these pillars, that is how you get to getting the 96 meetings that you want to have in a year. I'll teach you how to do that. This is actually the starting point that I go through with most people, in terms of where do you currently invest in terms of trying to get the discovery meetings, and you're finding that you're underinvesting and you're actually missing the most important pillars, which are the 4 in the middle. Oops. And this is the other one I wanted to cover with you from a client side. The other thing you want to do in your business is, you want to be able to drive your relationships up this ladder or this pyramid that I'm going to talk about and become much more central to your business success of your clients. Let me just explain the slide a little bit here too, is if you talk to your clients, not your clients, or a client of an MSP, and you talked about, those clients where you put a high value on your MSP, in your MSP relationship, what is it about that relationship that you really value? Like what's important to you from your relationship with your MSP? And invariably what they'll say is, my MSP is awesome because they create business results that I couldn't create on my own. I appreciate and invest in the advice that they give me. They know things about technology and how it can work for me in ways that I don't know. And they know me and they know my management team and they know my people and they work well with them. If they say those kinds of things, they would put you at the top of this pyramid. And what I would maintain is you want all your clients to put you at the top of the pyramid, or at least your A and B clients to put you at the top of the pyramid. Conversely, though, what I see is the average MSP relationship is that they would put you at the bottom of this pyramid. And what that says is they would treat you as they would treat any vendor in their business. And in some ways, it's natural because you're doing a service for them, and it's a service that you do every month, and they see with QBRs and all that stuff. But unless we go beyond the basics, they're going to put us down there and they say that it's a good relationship. They provide good service, but they're really not essential to my business, and I don't feel close to them, and I don't really seek them out for advice. Unfortunately, it tends to be the typical MSP relationship kind of at the bottom of this pyramid. So one aspect of your sales plan really is how do you move all your clients up to the top of this pyramid, right? And there's ways you can do that. There's skills that you have to learn. There's ways to engage with them and to sell, quote unquote, sell to them so that they see you as a business advisor. But that is the fourth step in the process and the final step. So we get you focused. We make sure that your marketing and your prospecting is value-based and business-based, not technology-based. We help you employ all 6 of the pillars that create the amount and quality of new discovery meetings that you want to have. And then we teach you how to create the kinds of relationships with your clients that put you at the top of this pyramid. So really that's kind of the essence of how we do the transformation for my clients. And like you said at the beginning of this, we see the results. It takes time, but the beginning part is putting together a plan for you to do the same thing and to get the training that you need to be able to execute it in a quick and accelerated fashion. So I put together basically this is actually the same program I go through with all my clients that I end up working with long term, but I'm making it available to people, making it more available to people now to kind of help them through the COVID and the economic situation that we're all facing. So it's really a series of 7 working sessions. Given the current climate, we used to have people come into our offices to do this. Now I guess we're going to do them digitally and have been doing them digitally, and they've been working out great. So it's basically 6 to 8 working sessions, 2 to 3 hours. More working sessions if you need it to help you on the execution and the strategic components of it. And the investment is $4,750, about $5,000. And this has been the starting point in my working relationship with all those people up front that created the results that I talked about. So I can think of 2 or 3 individuals where I started working with them. They're about $1 to $1.3 million in revenue, and 4 years later, they're at $4 million and growing at about 20% per year. So before they got to the big results they wanted to, they had to start somewhere, and this is the somewhere they started. Easiest way to say it is this is the first type of work that we did together, and it results in both a training. It results in a 90-day sales plan that you get started with, and you just update and keep rolling. But more importantly, it teaches you how to execute, and I kind of help you execute through the early stages, so you get why the plan makes sense and how you make it work. So I'm offering this now as a investment for about $5,000. What I'd suggest is if you're interested in going down this route is email me at michael@thestp.com, or you can call me at 312-543-7617. And I can walk you through this in more detail and talk about how it could apply to your specific business. So also, just as an aside, I also have a partnership with Taylor Business Group, and we do a similar work with this through something called the owner-led sales program. So I can go through, if you're interested in a peer group, or actually if you're a member of Taylor Business Group, uh, call me or email me, and we can talk about that program. But I really encourage you to make a decision, I guess is where I would leave it with you, is what I found with most MSPs left to their own devices, they're going to hit a revenue ceiling that they're never going to get beyond. And the reason they're never going to get beyond it is it takes changes to what you're doing in order to produce the kind of results we're talking about. And it's not a marginal change. It's a pretty significant change to what you think about, what you do on a daily and weekly basis, what kinds of business processes basically you have to put in place to drive the discovery meetings. There's a lot of changes that you need to understand, and many MSPs don't come from a sales background, right? So many of us are more technical in nature, and we kind of learn certain things about sales, and we've learned certain things about marketing. But what I found is the people that I work with uh, came into the program without having almost an entrepreneurial knowledge of business development, all the different things you have to do and all the different things you have to get right. Over time, how you hire the right people and hire really good talent. But in the short term, what you really need to do is have a plan for change. And again, what I believe with COVID, from what I've seen with COVID, is it actually favors the people that are more aggressive and proactive in marketing and selling and business development, and certainly client management. I've seen the results so far, and I don't think it. I think that's not going to change for the near term. So again, as an MSP owner, make a decision. If you make a decision that you want to at least explore this area and consider working with me on this beginning program here, please reach out, give me a call, or send me an email, and I'd love to work with you. So thank you for listening, and I appreciate your attention and the time that you invested in this, and please let me know if you make the decision to go for it. Thank you.